going on, everyone? Today we're looking at the Toneforge Ben Bruce amp sim plugin 5 years later to see if it still holds up in 2020. And so here I have this demo of what I was able to do with the plugin. And so let's listen to the final version. Yeah, so I like this plugin a lot. It's definitely got a different flavor than a lot of high gain amp sims out there. And so let me show you all of the processing that I did. So here we have the Toneforge Ben Bruce, and I'm not using any of the effects or anything or any of the post-processing available in the plugin just because I wanted to kind of take that into my own hands. But we're on the lead channel. I'm going for a kind of low mid focused tone for this demo. And so I've got the bass and mids up quite a bit from noon, and then treble and presence down a little bit from noon. And pretty much what that's doing is it's just giving me obviously a more low end, low mid focused tone. And we're not getting that hissy, fizzy kind of idea from this plugin. And so for the cabinet, I just stuck with a condenser. I tried a bunch of different IRs. They just weren't hitting the same as this condenser. I mean, it sounds like it was made for this cabinet that they modeled. So stuck with that. Here's the bass tone with just the Toneforge plugin. So you'll notice that's pretty low gain, especially compared to the final product. And that's on purpose. I could have pumped up the gain a little bit right here and it probably would have been fine. But really I wanted to kind of save some room there so I could use an overdrive pedal. And I could have used this overdrive here, but instead I used the Plumes emulator. And so I've got the Plumes pedal, not for more gain, but it's for the character and the taste of the Plumes pedal. I really enjoy it. And so the gain's all the way down, the level's all the way up, and it's in the first position. And the tone knob is at like around 11 o'clock. It's really just so that, again, it's getting the taste and flavor of that Plumes plugin without adding any sort of gain that I'm not really looking for. I'm still trying to keep the note clarity and a little bit less saturated. And so here it is with the Plumes pedal. And you can do this with any overdrive pedal to put the gain down, level all the way up, and then adjust the tone to your flavor so that you're getting that characteristic of the pedal, but not necessarily the gain or overdrive from it. So I really enjoy that. Next thing I do is I put a Zool pedal before that. It's just a gate about 1 o'clock, and it's just tightening up the low end a little bit, as well as allowing all these cutoffs to make it a little bit more natural. And we'll hear what that sounds like. Get the idea. It's not doing a whole lot. It's just a gate. You know what I mean? It's taming the low end and making it sound nice when it cuts off. So that is the bass tone that I got out of this plugin. I think it sounds really nice. The rest of it is mostly tone shaping and a little bit of mixing. So the first thing I do is I compress the DI. What this does is it makes it more bold, and the decay isn't as apparent. It just sounds like as soon as you hit a string, it just rings out and it's full, as opposed to, you hit the string and it decays almost right away. And so I'll bypass it and turn it on and off, and you'll hear it immediately just gets way more bold as soon as you start compressing the DI into the amp. can especially hear it in the low notes. Like as soon as I hit one of those bottom strings, it's just way more full, and that's what I was looking for. So then after that, I've got a multi-transient, and pretty much what I'm doing here is doing a little bit in the high mids, a little bit in the low mids. I'm looking for that pick attack to kind of bring out the attack of the transients. Obviously, we ended up taming a little bit of the transients here in the compressor with this attack. I could have opened up the attack all the way, but the transients will have gotten out of hand pretty quick. So I'm using this to kind of bring that back. You can do this with Transify as well. I just happen to have the Audio Assault version, the multi-transient. They're almost the exact same plugin, so no harm done there. Moving on, I'm doing some tone shaping in my EQ. I'm just bringing out a little bit more mids, a little bit more low mids, getting rid of some resonances, and then obviously getting rid of that 4K because nobody needs that. So here it is with and without the EQ. So it's doing quite a bit on that 4K, getting rid of that hissy sound and then bringing out a little bit more of the body of the tone. And then finally doing the classic multi-band trick where it's just taming down these palm mutes, especially a little bit later on in the track where it's a little bit more low string heavy. It's really taming these palm mutes and low notes so that the low end isn't blooming and getting in the way of the bass tone. So with and without. And you can see whenever it goes past this threshold right here is pretty much when it's a palm mute, and so it's just taming that palm mute. So that is my mix ready guitar tone. We'll listen to it. I'd say that's a mix ready tone. Beyond that, in the mix, I'm just doing a little bit more EQ. Again, taming the low end, getting rid of a little bit of that bloom, and then cutting out some mid resonances, saturating it a little bit, and then more EQ. It's kind of tame the high end after I saturate it because that's going to add some, high end. So I'm getting rid of that super high end fizz and then taming some boxiness, taming some more fizz, and finally a limiter just to tame some of the transients that pop out of each guitar so that they sound a little bit more homogenized. So I'll add each layer as the track plays on, and you'll hear how it just kind of fits more into a mix. That is how I process the Toneforge Ben Bruce plugin. 5 years later, I think it still does a stellar job of getting a great modern metal tone. It's definitely a different flavor than a lot of amp sims out there. And I don't think anything comes close to it in terms of like the flavor that it provides. That is my look at the Toneforge Ben Bruce plugin 5 years later in 2020 to see if it still held up, and definitely think it does. So there you have it.